Tax deadlines are coming up fast. Are you ready? Missing these key dates can lead to some hefty penalties, unnecessary stress, and last-minute headaches. But don't worry, I got you covered. In this video, we're going to walk through all of those important tax deadlines and what you should be doing now. Hi everyone, I'm Jamie Trull, your favorite CPA and financial literacy coach, and I'm here to keep you in the good graces with Uncle Sam. So the first thing you want to know is what your tax entity type is, because that is going to dictate what you need to file and when. So if you're not sure, this is a great time to make sure you're clear on what type of entity you are and what that means for the reports you need to file. Now, really importantly, knowing your legal entity is helpful, for example, if you're an LLC, but you also need to know how you are taxed. So are you an LLC taxed as a sole proprietor, in which case you're filing a Schedule C along with your personal return? Or are you an LLC taxed as an S-Corporation, in which case you're filing a separate S-Corporation return? So that's why just knowing your legal entity type isn't going to tell you everything you need to know. You also need to know your tax entity type, which may be different, especially if you've elected certain tax treatment like S-Corp. Now, if you want to know more about electing S-Corp tax treatment and how it could potentially save you money, definitely check out my masterclass, jamietrull.com/switch. We're talking all about whether it's time to switch your LLC or sole proprietor to an S-Corp and what that really means for you. So now that you know your tax entity type, it's time to jump into those due dates, so get your calendar out. So the first date to know about is January 15th, which is related to the prior year. So that is going to be your Q4 estimated tax payment due date. Now, remember, as business owners, we don't necessarily have somebody taking money out of our paycheck and doing withholdings. That's something that we are responsible for, especially if you're taxed as an LLC or a sole proprietor. Nobody is going to be doing that withholding from your paycheck, and that is what estimated tax payments are for. And even if you are a corporation and are having some withholding taken out of your paycheck, you might still have additional estimated taxes you need to pay on the profit above and beyond your salary. So the next important deadline to know about is March 15th. And this is especially important for those of you that are S-Corporation owners, or perhaps you are taxed as a partnership. Maybe you're a multi-member LLC, there are multiple different owners of a partnership, and you have to file a 1065. That is due on March 15th. So an S-Corp is going to file Form 1120S. A partnership is going to file a Form 1065. And the great thing is you don't actually have to pay taxes at the time you're filing that, because both of those entities are going to be pass-through entities, meaning you don't actually pay the tax until you file your personal return. So your profit and loss from your business is going to flow through to your personal return, which is why the deadline is a month before. And when you complete either of those filings, a K-1 is going to be generated. And that's essentially kind of like a W-2 sort of thing that you're going to get to know what your share of your profit in the business is that you need to claim on your personal taxes. Now, if you're watching this in March and just now realizing, oh shoot, I didn't know that I had to file this, I have an entire video on how to file an extension for free to be able to give you more time to file your S-Corp 1120S or your Partnership 1065. So don't panic, I have resources to help you. Now, the other reason that March 15th is an important day is that it is also the deadline to elect to be taxed as an S-Corp and be able to backdate it to the beginning of the current year. So that means if you're thinking about making an S-Corp election and wondering if that's something that's going to save you money on taxes, then you're probably going to be best served if you can decide on that and make the election by March 15th of the current year. Now, if you're not sure and you're thinking about it, I have some resources for you. I actually have an entire Encore masterclass you can watch that is going to be found at jamietrull.com/switch that talks about the pros and cons of switching from a LLC or sole proprietor to an S-Corp for tax purposes and what that means for you. So if you're curious about this S-Corp tax status and whether it could save you money, definitely check out that masterclass. So now it's on to the tax deadline that everybody knows by heart, our least favorite day of the year, April 15th. And April 15th is when your personal tax return, i.e. your 1040, is going to be due, and your payments are going to be due by then as well. So regardless of what type of entity you have, you likely are going to have a personal tax return that you're going to need to file. And that is going to include your business income, especially if you have a pass-through company like an LLC, a sole proprietor, or an S corporation. Now, one thing to know about these tax deadlines as I'm talking through them is that the deadlines are going to be that day if that day is a business day. However, if it falls on a weekend or a holiday, then it is going to be the next business day after that. So sometimes you might get a couple of extra days as a bonus. Now, April 15th also happens to be the day that C corporation returns are due. So if you have a C corporation that you need to file an 1124, then that is going to be due on April 15th, and you do pay taxes with a C corporation return. Okay, so unlike the other ones we were talking about where you actually pay on your personal return, for a C corporation, there will be a payment due when you file the return. So now let's flash forward to June 15th. We're in the summer and your Q2 estimated tax payments are due. So if you're hanging out at the beach, just remember to mark that date on your calendar because that's when you need to be paying your Q2 estimated taxes by. Now, if you are like me and you have realized, wait a second, why is it that this is not every 3 months? Wouldn't you think that estimated tax payments would be once a quarter, 3 months apart? Well, I didn't make the rules. So you may have noticed that your Q1 payment is due April 15th, and then your Q2 payment is due only 2 months later on June the 15th. So that's something to keep in mind. It can trip us up. I, again, did not make the rules, but then we get back on the cadence and it's going to be September 15th when your Q3 tax payment is due. And like I said, January 15th is when your final Q4 tax payment is due. So just keep that in mind that it doesn't necessarily follow every 3 months. So make sure to set those reminders so you don't forget. Now we're flashing forward to September 15th. And like I said, that's going to be when your Q3 estimated tax payments are due. And also that is going to be when your tax return for your S corporation or your partnership is due if you filed an extension. So if you didn't hit that March 15th and you filed an extension, then those are going to be due on September 15th. So don't forget. And now we flash forward to October 15th. That is my favorite month of the year, and not because of tax deadlines, but it is my birthday month. And it's also the time when we can get cozy in the fall, but it's also time when we need to file our tax return if we filed an extension back in April. So we may have, pressed the pause button on that tax filing with a tax extension, but we do need to still file that return by October the 15th. And like I said before, we need to have paid in April. Best case scenario, you've estimated it out. There's probably still a difference that either is owed to you or you owe to them. But ultimately, the vast majority of what you owe should be paid in by April 15th, even if you file an extension. And not only that, October 15th is also the deadline for C corporation returns if you filed an extension. Now, missing these deadlines can result in IRS penalties, actually often does result in IRS penalties, and that penalty is generally going to be 5% of the amount you owe per month up to a max of 25%. So if you have not paid in what you owe, you're going to get hit with those fines and penalties, plus interest on top of that. So that's a reason enough to not miss these deadlines. Now, if you're not sure how to pay estimated taxes, I do have a full walkthrough on this channel of how to do it for free. So definitely go check out that video. And if your other concern is the fact that maybe your tax records are a little all over the place, your financial records are, not organized, then I definitely recommend getting up and running on an accounting software to help keep you organized. If you're not sure which one, I have this video right here that's going to walk you through my recommended softwares. And of course, if software is not for you, maybe you have a very simple business and you just have a little bit of income and expenses to worry about, I also have a profit and loss template that you can use as a bookkeeping spreadsheet that's going to help you keep everything nice and organized for taxes, and it does not come with an ongoing fee like accounting software does. So check that out at jamietrull.com/profit loss. So what do we do if we miss a deadline? Well, we want to file ASAP. That is my biggest recommendation to people that come to me and say, I haven't filed, what do I do? The answer first and foremost is file. And then definitely work with a tax professional to do that, and they can help negotiate for you and really work with the IRS to come up with a plan for you. And oftentimes you're going to get the ability to be put on a payment plan so that even if you don't have the money to pay today, you're going to be able to pay it over time and stop racking up all the interest and the penalties. So I hope this was helpful for you. If you're stuck trying to figure out how much to pay in estimated taxes, I do have a video that walks you through using 3 numbers on your tax return to help estimate how much you need to pay in for those estimated taxes. So that's up on the screen right now. Definitely make sure to watch that one next, and I'll see you next time.